Armada Book 6 Chapter 7 The Three Kings Part 1. It's been a week since the Varst London King started his learning journey with Junie. He was able to inspect and look at all the preps and operations at the Tom side of the battlefield. Junie told Andrew that John is a very capable and strong king, but a little soft on women, especially some of his female commanders. His strength is more operations like manpat rather than strategy and combat like Roger and Lachine. John concluded that the outcome of the war is now very apparent to him, and he agreed to start the operations before the end of the day. Olive announced, Andrew, Commander Trend, and Captain Reek are in the bridge. Andrew walked to the bridge to find Tonin, Gantley, Roger, John, Eric, Linda, and Lachine. Trend and Reek were at the far end talking to Junie. They all saluted Andrew. Even John saluted Andrew. Andrew asked Trend and Reek to go on with their presentation of their plans. They came prepared and did so within 30 minutes with the relevant background information and holos. Okay. How long will we spend to settle the rayon problem? Andrew asked Trend. Sir, with 350 ships about a week. We have mapped out the slave locations, tagged the royalty and leadership. We have also bombed all of their ships. Roger added, based on Commander Trend's plans, we would need all our taggers in 350 ships 5 days to finish the job. Reek added, we can then just remove all the ships, move all the slaves back to their planets, and do a munoan on the king. We also need to have the Rayon Emperor send an emissary to the Rosy Queen to tell her they are no longer in the game. Does Ellie know who will come over? Linda asked. Reek answered, if she asks, General. Linda, if you want to go to Ellie, you can go. Andrew said, I want to go. Roger said, me too. Lachine said, me also. Eric said, Junie was more creative. It would really be nice to see another kingdom in motion. Andrew exclaimed, I know why you all want to go. We'll all go except for two. Two of you would have to take over the operations. You will draw lots. The unlucky duo will be left behind. Olive get a body and some sticks. Two should be shorter than the rest. Olive appeared holding sticks tightly in her right hand. Each of the guys drew the sticks, except for Reek and Trend. Olive, who's the lucky duo? Andrew asked. Olive answered, Roger. Roger was looking at his stick in disbelief. And Tonin. Tonin exclaimed, we are supposed to start our operations later today, and I really wanted to stay and finish the job. Good luck, Roger, Tonin. Olive, move over to Ellie. Boss, why don't we all take the hops? Linda said. Andrew disagreed. No, Linda. We will all bring 350 ships over there and leave the remaining 400 or so ships here to finish the job. There was some moaning of disapproval. It was going to be a 2-day trip, something they could have reduced if they went straight to Ellie's. Can I go with you? John asked. Are you really avoiding your Queen Seahill? Linda asked. Not really. She already knows I'm with your group when Roger discussed the troop exchange with her. Why don't we head over to her, and then we can catch up through the hops. She might keep me there and not let me go. So that's it. All along I thought you were king. I am, but I find it very hard to say no to my wife. They all laugh. Because of love, right? Of course. Did you guys think it was because of fear? Absolutely not. Andrew shouted. More laughs. Junie held John's shoulder. I know the queen would really appreciate seeing you, but I will impose on your queen. And besides, we can just beam out. Okay. I trust you, Junie, as one king to another. Make sure we stay only for 2 days, okay? Sure. Junie intended to leave him, but he already committed 100,000 troops, so it might not be a good prank. It's been 2 days since Ellie arrived from the Rayon Galaxies. She was confident of Trend and Reek's plans, and sent them to General Man to brief them before they come over to deal with the Rayons. Ellie has been very busy dealing with all the science project teams for the past 2 days. She focused on developing the 2 science ships as quarterback ships and creating the integrated systems for the Armada. While Ellie went about her work, Ghost Ellie spent the same 2 days with David. Ellie has just put on her pajamas, getting ready to go to sleep, when Ghost Ellie appeared beside Ellie at Ellie's stateroom. Ellie ran to bed to make sure Ghost Ellie understood she was tired and wants to go to sleep, and nothing in the world would stop her. Ghost Ellie sat then laid beside Ellie. The guy is really torn. He works really hard with the war, but when he stops he thinks about you. Sometimes he felt afraid you did not make it. Sometimes he felt so bad not going after you. Ellie wanted to make sure Ghost Ellie is not pulling another fast one on her, again. She held Ghost Ellie's hand and asked the Crimson to transfer what Ghost Ellie had with David. She held Ghost Ellie's hand, and after a few minutes, you're crying. Ghost Ellie said, I cannot lie to you, Ellie. I know. It's okay. That's a spark. Let it grow. Help it grow. She embraced her, then kissed her right cheek. Ghost Ellie felt for the first time how Ellie missed David so much. This time she felt the longing and desire for an embrace. Maybe a kiss. She felt Ellie was so afraid of something as inconsequential as a kiss, but she longed for it at the same time. She felt what Ellie felt with David, and she made Ellie feel what David felt. She felt Ellie wanted to stop and spend time with David, but the universe needs her. There is so much work to do. With both of their eyes closed, they mind-talked about Ellie's feelings, about Ghost Ellie's feelings, until Ellie fell asleep. After 8 hours, Ghost Ellie, wake up. Let's go down and clear things up. Ellie understood and said, let me do the rounds first. I have to talk to Commander Trend and Captain Reek. We'll go after lunch. At Ellie's bridge, Ellie asked, Tom, when will the Armada arrive? Tonight. Tom, get a box of brandy and a box of ice cream with 4 of the most popular flavors. Pack them in a transport luggage. I want to go down and meet David, Ellie said as she held Ghost Ellie's hand. Tom explained, Ellie, the best place near him would be this small restaurant cafe. I can beam you into the ladies' room, then you can bring the luggage outside to the sidewalk tables. Ghost Ellie explained, David went to this cafe a few days ago, and he ordered a drink very much like a latte. You can order that too. Ellie was wearing her body armor underneath her GX-1 uniform. She had 2 plasma pistols attached to her waist. Do I go down in this uniform? Ghost Ellie nodded. I believe you should. Tom, from now on I want the primary directive applied to David, his father, and her 2 sisters. Ellie said. Yes, Ellie. We have Max around them all the time looking for spies and reading a lot of minds. A transport luggage appeared beside Ellie. You can beam me there now. Ellie walked out of the ladies' room lugging the transport luggage. She walked around the scattered tables and chairs and sat in one of the chairs just outside the cafe. Nobody seems to have noticed her. She scanned the area and she realized the cafe was at one side of a very large square with low buildings all around. She saw a lot of people, military people, in various uniforms with a lot of weapons. Some were black like her, some were in greens, in a lot of design and color combinations. Ghost Ellie noted, this place is busy. A lot of military personnel going about their way. We can wait here until Sally homes in on us. Give it maybe 30 minutes. Ellie exclaimed, Sally is one amazing telepath. She can sense specific people around her. Sometimes I feel she sensed me, and one time she even told David that she sensed you around, but since she cannot see me, she thinks it's just her imagination. Her story actually freaked out David because he thought Sally was sensing your ghost, that you were killed. And because David got upset with her, Sally never told him about her feelings about me again. Poor guy. I could imagine his horror and anguish. Poor Sally. She received a mouthful from her brother. I am really lucky to have you, Ellie. I am so used to you around already that I can't imagine my world without you. Whenever you're away, I miss you a lot. Do you know that Tom and the other ships look at me, and they will carry out my orders as if it was you giving the orders? Are you sure? Sure, I'm sure. Yes, I can sub for you. That's great. I believe people are looking at me. Yes, I know why. It took me a while to see why. You're blonde. I know that, and you're blonde too. Have you noticed how many blondes there are among the crowd? There, those yellow guys have blonde hair. Exclude those. Those are human hybrids. Most of the yellow humans have blonde, white or ash white or regular yellow hair. So I don't have yellow skin, but I have blonde hair. You're really smart. So what? Ghost Ellie looked at her and sighed. Tom asked, Captain Solis is asking if you would permit her to accompany you. Ellie thought for a while, sure. Tell her to bring a transport luggage of the same. Ghost Ellie commented, I guess she realized you look so alone. After a few minutes, they could see Captain Solis move from the ladies' room to her direction. Solis was also wearing her GX uniform, and she also had 2 pistols attached to her side while pulling a transport luggage. Good afternoon, General. I thought you looked so alone here. I hope you don't mind. Thank you, Captain. Please sit. Everybody is arriving tonight with 350 ships except Roger and Tonin. They drew lots and Roger and Tonin lost. What? I thought Gantley, Roger, and Linda were coming over. I guess General Mann changed his mind. Actually, everybody wants to come over. Ghost Ellie added. Of course, we all know why. Those guys will turn this into a comedy movie. It already is, with you around. She groaned. Solis smiled. Then she saw Gifka standing beside Ghost Ellie, crimson and visible. Gifka, why are you here? Gifka answered. To confuse the enemy. Remember, David's family is a family of strong telepaths. While Ghost Ellie is reading David, I will read the others. Ellie looked at Solis. Sir, what can I say? A yellow man was standing beside Ellie, and he just stood there waiting. Yes, may I help you? Ellie asked. Yellow Man, would you like to have something? Maybe some wine. Ghost Ellie exclaimed. Their wine is like 2% alcohol. Bad taste. But order 2 so he would go away. Solis ordered 2 and got some rosy currency to pay for the order. Ellie asked, Tell me, Gifka, how many Macs are around us right now? 30 Macs, 22 Trunnies, and 30 Norsets. Ghost Ellie explained. And they are all reading the minds of people around us? Gifka added, Yes, for security purposes. Ellie shrugged. Just tell them about David's family's strong telepathic abilities. Gifka answered, They already know and they won't mess up. Always remember, Ellie, you're a VIP among our people. A Marine contingent is also deployed around the area, just in case. Ghost Ellie noted, I think you guys are overdoing it. We have the primary directive, you know. Gifka countered, just making sure. Tom announced, David's convoy will arrive in 4 minutes. 3 forward vehicles will be here in 3 minutes. The twins are right behind him in another vehicle. The king is 3 vehicles behind the twins. Quite a reception party. Solis said, Tom, can you sneak in another box of brandy and ice cream? Here between me and Solis underneath the table. Ellie said. 2 boxes appeared between them underneath the table. The Yellow Man got back to their table with their order. Just then the 3 forward vehicles touched down, creating an open space between them. The 3 vehicles deployed several armed security troops around the area. The troops made sure there were no personnel in the center area. Then 1 vehicle touched down at the middle, then another touched down beside it. The square is now effectively cordoned off by the armed security troops. The regular military were relegated to walk around the cordoned area. Solis commented, I'd say this is dramatic. Ellie took a sip of the wine. This tastes like orange and apple juice in blue-colored water. They could see David getting out of the center vehicle and the twins getting out of another vehicle. Several armed personnel also deployed from the 2 ships and deployed around the area, forming a second line around the square. They are wearing the same beige trench coat. Maybe that's their royal combat uniform, Solis said. Ellie and Solis did not stand, but waited for David to get within 5 feet. Then Ellie stood and beckoned David to come to her. She opened her arms and David embraced her. She did embrace back, but she just let him kiss her cheeks. They held each other for a while until the twins made a noise. Ellie let go of David, and Sally lunged to embrace her, then Lacey embraced her. David, you remember Captain Solis? David nodded. She introduced Solis to the twins. I brought your ice cream, Ellie told Sally as she pointed to the boxes. Did you bring something for me also? It was the king. Ellie did not kneel but approached the king and embraced him. The king embraced her tight. She introduced Solis to him. This box is yours, my king. Solis and I brought 2 luggages of the stuff. Ellie pulled 1 box and showed the bottles inside. David gestured, Why don't we all sit and open one? The king nodded and pulled a chair. Solis told the Yellow Man to get several wine glasses and small cups with small spoons. The Yellow Man knelt in front of the king, then ran inside. They all sat with Ellie sitting beside David. David held her hand and kissed it. I thought you did not make it. I got really worried. David whispered to her. Ellie held his hand tighter. Sally started, So have you decided to marry my brother? There are some things we need to do first. I want you to meet my parents, and I want my parents to meet you guys. David looked at her and thought that was being redundant. Ellie continued, I'd say 7 months at least. Sally insisted, So is it a yes or what? Ellie shot back, Give me 7 months. 7 months is not too long, David said. Sally commented, We would be in the thick of war with the Rayons by then. Where are your parents, Ellie? Savadev asked. At home, Ellie answered. The Yellow Man returned with the cups and brought some small spoons. For other restaurant personnel stood by the door just in case the royal family needed anything. The twins opened a box and each took out 1 container and placed them on the table. David opened the brandy box and opened a bottle. Savadev watched David pour him a tall one. He got the glass and looked at the color. Then he tried to smell the brandy. Finally, he took a large sip, rolled the brandy in his mouth and drank. This is really good. Absolutely so fine and smooth. This ice cream tastes better than before. Sally added, That's a different flavor, chocolate. She wanted to say rocky road, but she thought they might not understand how a road that's rocky would taste like. But then how would they know what chocolate is? So from now until 7 months, can I hang out with you? David asked. Sure, but we have to finish the war first. Savadev started. The queen is intransigent. They would probably stretch this for a year or so. Ghost Ellie told Ellie, A ship launched a missile at our position, and I told Tom to redirect it back to the ship that fired it. What missile? David asked. Nothing. Don't worry about it. Just one of those imaginations. David's hand bumped into Ellie's side weapon as he moved nearer. What? You have a weapon? David asked. David glanced at Solis, and she too had the same weapon. Can I take a look at your sidearm? Laysai asked. Ellie got her pistol and gave it to Laysai. Be careful. Don't shoot unless nobody is around. Laysai looked at the weapon, turned it around as if trying to weigh it. She tapped the metal part of the table with it, and the weapon did not sound metallic. Then she stood. I will just aim it at the wall over there. Ellie stopped her. There are people behind that wall. Shoot at the black wall beside it. Laysai squeezed around. She saw a very bright light, bluish, she thought, maybe 3 inches long travel towards the wall. The plasma shot went through the wall, then several equipment then exploded far inside. Savadav and David stood sharply. What is that? Sali asked for the other one, and as if on cue Solis pulled her pistols and gave them to David and the king. They all pulled one round each, and the wall was demolished. Where did you get these weapons? Savadav asked. We made them. The body is black diamond while the power source is this diamond handle. This pistol can shoot a standard metallic plasma shot, up to 500 shots. The gun creates a plasma shot that envelopes a small metallic core that turns into liquid metal as it travels. This is very deadly against organic targets. Ellie said. This weapon can end the war in a few months. David said. I would like to end the war in a week. Ellie said. Savadav countered. We all want to end the war as quickly as we can. Ellie started. My king, the Rayon aggression should be dealt with first, then the queen will be weaker because the Rayon invasion she expected to help her will not happen anymore. I told you, father. We have to assume the Rayons are sending a force to help the queen. That is why she is so confident. Savadav answered. Then that's an even bigger proposition to deal with. We may not handle the Rayons, that is why we should expect them to honor the treaty. Ellie countered. They will not honor the treaty unless they have no other choice. Once the queen understands that the Rayons left her to her own devices, she may surrender. David agreed. Exactly how I think. I think that the Rayons are a threat, and we should prepare for them. Sali said. Savadav explained. We only have 7,200 ships. The queen has maybe 3,000, and the Rayons have 12,000. It's going to be very hard to win this. We can stretch the war, but in the end victory is not assured. David exclaimed. That is why the commando operations is a good bet. I am not against it, but why do you have to go with them? Savadav asked. Sali added. I am afraid for you, David. You don't have to go. You might get hurt. Ellie said. You can accompany me so you can protect me from getting killed. Remember, the earlier the war ends, the earlier I can be with you. So I have to work to end the war as early as I can. Okay, David, for you, I will end the Rayon's capability to wage war and imprison the queen and her network in about a week. Then we can deal with all the slaves, maybe another 2 weeks. Remember, besides your people, there are 2 more species that they have enslaved. And by the way, the Rayons have 38,200 ships. 6,000 of them are very large ships, 10 times your biggest ship. Sali was surprised. That's a lot of ships. But that's wishful thinking. I see you as a very capable warrior, but this is war. Maybe this weapon would be a game changer. Savadav said. I believe you, Ellie. David said. Sali agreed. Me too. Laysai explained. Father, she said it as a matter of fact, like it's one regular day at work. Savadav asked, how, Ellie? It's really a very large operation involving millions of personnel and several hundred ships. My Uncle Andrew, Uncle Junie, Uncle Eric, and Uncle Gantley will arrive tonight with my cousins Lasheen, Linda, Jenny, and Bakamina. They will handle the war for us and help us deal with the slaves. But there are 2 things that I would request for all of this. What? Savadav asked. That you treat me and my uncles and cousins, and essentially our group, as your equal. That we are not above or below you. Then my second request is that you try very hard to forgive those who fought against you. I am not asking you to totally forgive all of them. Just be kinder and more forgiving than you can possibly can. The king and his family remained quiet. So you are not of our kingdom? David asked.
No, David.
I have a feeling already that you are not from our world. But I felt your kindness and that you truly care for our people. Sali said.
Ido.
We do care for your people, but also for your enemies and the other enslaved species. We value your lives, and we would rather that you do not kill each other. Ellie said. I felt that you do, Ellie. How is this possible? David asked. First of all, you are holding my hand. The king and the twins laughed. But you called me my king? I am not your king. Savadav asked. You are. I care for you not only because you are David's father, but because I felt you are a very good person, always laughing and fooling around, and kind to your people. And you raised 3 very loving, well-rounded, and well-meaning individuals. Laysai added, he is also a persistent joker. Sali concluded, and Laysai is his protege. They laugh. Sabadev started, I like you a lot, Ellie. I want that you marry my son, and I consider you a part of my family already. And you fought for us and help us escape. If you did not let us read Eret's mind, we would have been captured and killed. I would like to believe you, but this is beyond me. Just say yes to my 2 requests, and I will take care of the war for you. Just say yes, father. David said, okay, 3 weeks. If you fail, we can launch our operations after that. On the 2nd week, we would need your people to do refugee work, to ease your people's pain from slavery. We would have to bring the Marins and Gene Pots back to their homeworld after removing the Rayons stationed in their planets. Ellie said, you are so kind, Ellie. David said, so the war will end in a week? Sali asked, yes. Can you show us how? Sabadev asked, sure, in 3 days. So in the meantime, we can be together. Let me show you around then, David said, as they walked towards their terrain vehicles. It's amazing how one person can change the fate of the galaxies, Sabadev said as he walked to Ellie's right. Ellie responded, not 1, 2. Sabadev looked at David, yes, 2. Sabadev said in agreement. Ghost Ellie whispered to Ellie, thank you, Ellie. Ellie smiled. You're welcome. Sabadev looked at her, questioning. They rode the vehicle to their command center. It was inside a mountain, and the vehicles flew into a very large hangar at the side of the mountain. Then they rode a large elevator further down, 10 levels down. As they strode out, Ellie, can you give me your pistols so my scientists can study and maybe reproduce them? Sabadev requested. Sabadev called 2 persons over, and he told them what he wanted. She handed the pistols to the scientists without saying a word. She didn't want to tell them they could never produce them with their level of technology. They reached the command center. It was a large hall with over 100 people manning consoles and talking to field commanders and operatives. David, a ship launched a rocket, and the rocket went back to the ship that launched it and destroyed the ship. A female in blue uniform reported to David. Where was the direction of the missile? David asked. Towards your positions at the square. She answered. David nodded. David looked at Ellie, who was talking and laughing with the twins beside a floor-to-ceiling glass map. He approached Ellie and, hey, I heard my name. Were you talking about me? David asked. Ellie laughed. Yes, we were. They were telling me that you were afraid of this long creature you call a Asta, that you cried like a little girl. David looked at the 2. He could not imagine how they could joke like this in the war room. Come on, Ellie, Solis, let us show you around the command center. Laysai said. Ellie went to David and embraced him. I will see you later. There was this missile. He stopped. Yes. Ellie was smiling, and he did not know whether the yes was a question or an affirmation of something in the past. Ellie ran after the twins and Solis. At dinner time, Sali led Ellie and Solis into a large room with a table set for 10. Several people were standing with Sabadev on their right. Sabadev introduced the group. This is Resti, my science officer, Litan. He's the commander of the ground troops, Telin. She's the highest-ranking council member, and my brother Sabadin, head of planetary exploration. They all greeted Ellie and Solis. They all sat with Ellie between David and Solis on the king's left and the twins across them. Ellie noticed the room has large glass panels on 2 sides. We are being watched. Ghost Ellie said. Ellie wanted to react, but she realized Ghost Ellie said this on purpose, and whatever her purpose was, she did not know and does not care. Resti started. Ellie, we analyzed your pistols. Sabadev noted. Yes, exactly what I want to know. We cannot reproduce them. We do not even know how they work. I can give you the schematics, but you need to understand plasma technology and how to create diamond energy packs. Resti explained, diamond is very rare and expensive. I understand you gave a basket full of diamonds as a wedding gift for David's friend. Those are the most number of diamonds we have seen in our history. And these pistols are made of black and blue crystal diamond. Tom told Ellie, they have billions of tons of diamond in 3 of their densely occupied planets and this planet. You have billions of tons of diamond in 3 of your planets and this planet. I think I can get a few million tons for you to start with, Ellie said. Sali smiled at Ellie. Ellie, tell us about you. Where you come from, what you do, where you have been. It's going to be a very long story, and a lot of you may not believe me. Why don't you ask me one question and I will answer and pick up from there? Why are you here? Sabadev asked. Ellie stood, looked at the group, and then to Sabadev. We, our kind, are called humans. You and you are humans. You are a branch of the human race we call Neanderthals. You were brought to this world from our planet about 3.5 BLY away by a species called Maccabees who relocated 15 BLY away from here. Tom, please. Tom appeared as a hologram and provided a hologram of the galaxies so Ellie can point to where the galaxies were. This is Tom. He is my ship AI. This is my home galaxy, and this is my planet. This is your galaxy. These are your planets, and over here are the Rayon planets. Savadav and the group were shocked but remained quiet. Ellie told Tom to extend to the two Mac galaxy groups. A branch of the human species are called Maquis or Macs. They also came from our planet and brought out by the Maccabees. The smaller humans are Maquis or Macs you see among you, and all of them are telepathic. They occupy these planets in these galaxies, and some of them are here with the Inky species in these galaxies. It is normal to find Macs in so many other planets like this one far from their home galaxies. Some of them have integrated with the Maccabee civilization, located 15 BLY from here. David's mother is 1/4 Maquis. So David and the twins have Maquis blood, and this enhanced their telepathic abilities. You may not realize this, but Macs have what we call a collective or collective thought. They can see and feel what any other Mac feels if they tap into this collective. We realize the Macs here do not have the collective plant in this planet, so they can only share their thoughts and feelings if they touch each other. In a way, their telepathic abilities did not grow normally. Ellie continued, now we were passing by your planet about 40 MLY away, and some of our Macs sensed your Macs telepathically, and so we came down to investigate. We are your brethren from far away. Now we could have left you alone and not made first contact, but knowing the Macs, we probably would return someday and make contact with you. So we figure we better do it now than later. Then we saw a wedding and decided to nosy around. We realized at the wedding that an assassination attempt was in progress, right in front of us, so we prevented it, and the events flowed from there. Sally asked, so what is it that you do? You just happen to fly around and nosy around, crash wedding parties? Ellie sat and looked at Solis. Solis stood, spoke softly and slowly. We are an armada of various alien species from countless planets spanning 40 BLY of intergalactic space. We keep peace within the galaxies in this universe and several other dimensions or universes. We prevent species from being enslaved, oppressed, and killed either as food or for pleasure. 2 weeks ago, we settled an impending war between two species. Their galaxies are these two galaxies tangent to each other. These two spiral galaxies here. We told them to be nice to each other, and we provided some technologies so they can trade and develop together faster. A week ago, we started operations on a species called Varst London, whose king and royalty were kidnapped by their enemies called Toms. Their galaxies are nearby, here. We freed the king and our armada split and left 2 of our commanders there to finish the task. 350 ships will be here tonight. They will finish off the task we started 5 days ago in another 5 days. We developed a plan to resolve your issues and asked the ships to fly over here to help carry it out. Sally commented, you tell it so nice and concise. Solis smiled and nodded at her. Savadav asked, Ellie, how many species are in your armada? Dozens. Tom showed the species. David started to massage the hand he was holding. A long line of different aliens appeared beside the table. Sally asked, so what do you do in this armada, Ellie? Are you a ship commander or something? Captain Solis is a ship commander of an Armada-class ship. I am in charge of all Armada science and technology. I have a science ship. You fought like a seasoned warrior. I know you said you were into science, but your field performance made me think that you were into combat and weapons. Savadav observed. All Armada ship commanders are seasoned combat officers. Resty asked this time, so you have ships near here? Ellie stood, yes, 2 are deployed around 40 MLY away towards the Rayons, here in this area. Solis is deployed near the end of your colonies. My ship is within 10 MLY away. That's not near. Sally observed. Resty exclaimed, tell us about your ships. My ship is 20 times as large as your largest ship. Tom showed a holo of the ship. It travels at around 260 MLY per day. It is invisible almost all of the time. It's really smart and does things without me telling it. As you can see, it looks very plain. The ship can carry as much as 50,000 personnel. It is also heavily armed, has double shields, and has the most advanced equipment and technologies from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxies spanning 40 BLY across several universes. This one is Captain Solis' ship, an Armada-class ship. It's 20% smaller than my ship, but as you can see, the basic design is similar. One of these Armada-class ship can take on all the 38,000 Rayon ships and destroy all of them. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can penetrate its shielding, and one shot from one of its plasma cannons, like this pistol but bigger, can destroy one Rayon ship with one shot. Litton asked, if your ship can do that, why don't you just go there and destroy all their ships? Solis answered, that is not how we operate, as you will later find out. Resty asked, when you say universes and dimensions, did you mean other galaxies? Solis looked at Ellie.
No.
There are an infinite number of universes like what we have here. We have the capability to go in and out of these universes from across several galaxies into the galaxies of the other universes. Savadav observed, what you are saying is absolutely unbelievable, Ellie. This means you can wage war or defend against or work with other armadas from other universes and have access to the technologies from these universes. That is what we do, and yes, my ship has all these technologies, most of which we are still studying. We have fought with and against multi-dimension threats and armies. We are constantly on our toes for intrusions by Maccabees and their allies from different dimensions with the single-minded mission of destroying our armada. We also have allies in a lot of dimensions who are constantly going to other dimensions to destroy our enemies. Captain Solis and I have gone to several dimensions to help the armada in those dimensions or form it if they were not formed. Resty exclaimed, absolutely unbelievable. How did you reach the planet? We were monitoring all ships coming in and going out of the planet. We do not need ships to travel around as long as the distance is within 90 mly. Ellie said. Lacey observed, traveling without ships could be a lot of fun. So you just appear anywhere you want to be. Tom told Ellie and Solis that Andrew and the group will be beaming in shortly. Solis answered her, we call it teleporting. It's fast, and you don't have to wait in line. You can just appear anywhere as yourself or as a hologram. As if on cue, Andrew and the group appeared as holograms. They were wearing the same black uniform as Ellie and Solis were. The king and his people stood except for David, Ellie, Solis, and the twins.